It's time for the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, an inside look at your teams in your city.
Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. It's Monday, July 1st. I'm David Todd of 970 ESPN, joined by my colleague, Stan Savran of 970 ESPN, and Mark Madden of 105.9 The X. Mark, got to start with you, man.
Carl Krauser. Was that Carl Krauser you just did?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Said you wouldn't talk about the Bucks. Rightly so. You've been a huge critic for a long time. They haven't won in 20 years.
Well, no,
They're
I
51
wouldn't say
and 30.
I've been a huge critic. I've just called it like I've seen it.
Fair enough.
This is a product worth supporting right now. The sellout streak ended yesterday. It had been at 5, but they're
So,
playing great baseball
PNC
and
high,
very
5.
opportune baseball, too. Yeah, they're about 300 behind the Penguins.
They are about 300 behind the
But
Penguins.
it has a whole new feel to it. It really does. There's legitimate
what do you think it
electricity.
is? What do you think it is?
A great bullpen, obviously. 2 hits allowed in 12 innings yesterday. No walks allowed by the whole staff for the entire game. If I had to pick one guy I think is making a major difference, though, it's Russell Martin. Besides the game-winning hit yesterday in the substitutes role, I think he's done so much for that pitching staff. He's taken a lot of the micromanaging pressure off Clint Hurdle by giving him the coach on the field when the Pirates are in the field. So if I had to pick one guy who's, well, I don't know about MVP, but the biggest difference maker might be Russell Martin.
That's a good point. Stan, you get to see him doing the Root Sports pregame show every day. There is electricity in the park. Everybody's excited. They're 51 and 30. I think we've decided that we talked about it last week. 81 is now just a mile marker. Is this a playoff team?
Absolutely. Based on the way they're playing, but also based on the level of competition. I still am not sure that they can hang for the whole season with the Reds and Cardinals, but I'm absolutely convinced they are miles better than any of the pretenders for the second wild card spot, which may look like a consolation prize, but let's go back 3 months and say, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. No, they're not, and now they are.
Now you're not going to write the Nationals off completely, right? They're the one
No,
team.
they're
in that
the
group.
one team that I think has got the potential, but they're one game over 500. That's a big 10 games they're behind for the second wild card. The rest of them, the Giants, the Rockies, the Padres, the Phillies, not going to happen. I agree with Mark. Martin has made a tremendous difference. He's thrown out 50% of base runners.
As opposed to 0%
Exactly.
by Barajas and
Yeah.
McHenry last year.
Exactly, and so he's made a
9%.
tremendous difference. I also, and the reason they're not going to collapse this year, I would say the electricity in the ballpark is the same as it was last year. Last year was tremendous excitement up until that
Yeah,
point.
and I think people
But
discount that. I think that's true. The past 2 years, really.
there was,
The-
but I think the different element this year, belief is now starting to creep in. I think people look. The baseball fans realize that because of the pitching, they're not going to collapse. That was the primary reason last year why they collapsed. The pitching fell apart. It won't this year. And remember, this 8-game winning streak is without allegedly
9
the
now,
aces of
right?
the staff. 9, the alleged aces of the staff, Burnett and Rodriguez. They've managed to put 9.
Well,
in a
now
row.
it looks like Wandy's in trouble with the elbow problem. Not just forearm now, but elbow is
Well,
what I'm told.
He
But
may get a cortisone shot today, supposedly, and that's always a bad sign because the as you know, forearm stiffness. That's directly Tommy John stuff. That's typically if that doesn't go away quickly.
and that ends the Garrett Cole talk.
well,
right.
right, and that's the one good side effect. I don't want to see Rodriguez be out for any appreciable length of time. And it looks like he may well be, but at least it makes them keep Garrett Cole up. And if it doesn't, then it's the same old management, the same old calm game it's always been. But I think they got to keep
Well,
Cole
Mark,
up.
I'm going to take the other side of this because you saw what happened yesterday, and the point is, if we had the issue, let's say Wandy comes back right after the break, and you have the issue, you're going to have to give up one of the pitchers on the staff. You're going to have to let somebody go. The guy would have been Vin Mazzaro. He would have been the guy. He went 5 scoreless yesterday.
That's one game.
It is one game, but he's been good.
He's been
the
good.
point is, if you put Cole down for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, if that were the conversation, do you really think it's management saying
Well,
we're not
it's a
trying to
moot,
win?
it's a moot point now because it looks like Wandy's going to be out. But just
Even
release
with-
James McDonald.
Even
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
out.
he's gone. The only thing I say about Cole, I understand the finances of it, but if it was a matter of keeping Cole for one more year, then I say, yeah, do it. That's not the issue here. The
Correct.
issue is strictly dollars.
It's a matter of paying him for one more year. And Stan,
arbitration.
even if he finished the year with the team, he still can't get to the Super 2 arbitration thing. He can't get that
He
extra
could.
year
It's
of
not
arbitration.
not
It's not determined yet. It's just it's a risk
could.
factor they're taking
Sure.
here. They're hedging
Stan,
their risk factor.
J-
But I just want to say this: 2 things actually. I'm not sending Garrett Cole down so that Genmark Gomez can stay in the rotation. He's been great. And I also think Huntington deserves some credit here, not for drafting Garrett Cole or Pedro Alvarez. Everybody knew that was going to happen. But I look at some of the people, the reclamation projects that he is. Vin Mazzaro is one. Liriano, no one would touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Our boy Mike hated him. Hated the signing.
Well, because he saw him with the Twins.
Right.
I wasn't wild about Genmar Gomez because I saw him pitch with the Indians. But when you have those reclamation projects, I think Searage deserves a lot of credit.
Yes.
But also Huntington for finding him. Again, and for Russell Martin. He was criticized for paying him that amount of money. Some of the reclamation projects who have contributed mightily to this team, I didn't know a thing about Mark Melancon. Not a thing.
Mark, let me ask you this question, and we're going to tie this into the Penguins as well. Neil has gotten criticized at the deadline the past 2 years. 2 years ago, he went out and got rental players, Ludwig and Lee. They didn't perform badly, particularly Lee. He was good, but they faded down the stretch. Last year, he went and got guys who are contributing this year, Rodriguez, Snyder, but they faded down the stretch. He got criticized for affecting team chemistry. We saw with the Penguins, they bring in new guys. They get to the playoffs. They don't do what everybody hoped they would do. Do you buy the BS of team chemistry?
No, there's no such thing as team chemistry. And if there is, it's incredibly overrated. And I don't think it exists in baseball at all because baseball is an individual sport where you cobble together a team result. You stop, you start, new player
But we
bats.
talk about it all the time. Guys,
Well,
they talk about it all the time.
Who's
The
they?
guys in the locker room.
Well, that's because they don't want to go, and they don't want their friends to go. That's self-serving. That's all
I
it is.
do think it exists in hockey. I do think that's the one sport where it's absolutely essential.
Well, any sport that's fluid, any sport where, the play
You're right, though.
flows and doesn't stop.
Baseball is a game played by individuals, but records are kept for a team. It's pitcher against batter, batter against pitcher, fielding the ground ball. I think when we get to the trade deadline this year, and actually we're pretty much there now, I don't think he should make they could use another bat in right field, no question about that. But to make the playoffs, they don't need it.
No, and that's the good point.
But they could this team could win the World Series.
But Mark, it's a 7-game series. They're going to be 8 teams when you get from 10 to 8. It's 7-game series. Honestly, you might as well go to Vegas and it's 12.5% on all of them because in 7 games anything can happen.
But I wouldn't tear up the franchise to get the guy. Now, if you're talking about a moderate, get a guy for a couple.
I'm not giving up.
I'm not giving up Gregory Polanco,
Right.
and I'm not giving up Jamison Tyone
because we're going to have this conversation next year. That might be your right fielder and one of your starters at this time next year.
You know what's weird about Stan? I know they're not going to give up Tyone on Polanco, so again, that's another moot point. And I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying I'd rule it out, though, because I think when AJ and Wandy leave at the end of this year, although Wandy's injury may throw a monkey wrench into that,
yes.
I think then they're not quite back to square one, but I think this is their last best chance for a while to not only make the playoffs, but have a legitimate chance at the World Series.
Possibly, but again, at what price? I mean, that's the variable that it's difficult to discuss this because we don't know what the variable is.
It's been 20 years. How do we know?
Well, I mean, but the variable is what do they get, and what are you willing to give up? Like you said, to me, I don't know that Tyone's a surefire prospect, but I also know there's not a whole lot of pitching help down there in the immediate term. And if Rodriguez and Burnett leave, especially Burnett, I don't think they're going to re-up him, and Rodriguez, they're going to need Tyone. You would think that Tyone probably will be up here next July.
Next July. And Polanco may be your right fielder next July at that point.
But I'm not saying I would look to trade Polanco or Tyone. I'm
but
just
that
saying
might be the price.
I would listen to offers.
Oh, absolutely.
I would absolutely listen to offers.
But you're not going to not do it because of chemistry, for sure, right?
Oh, no. Chemistry is a non-factor in my book.
All right. Yesterday, a lot of news early in the day. Looked like Chris Letang was going to get done. Here we sit 24 hours later. Doesn't look like it's officially done. $58 million. If that's the price for 8 years, are you on board?
It's a little much, but yeah, I'm on board. He's 26. He's a Norris Trophy finalist. He's a unique kind of player. And the cap's going to go up $3 to $6 million per year every year for the foreseeable future, unless hockey really takes a dump in terms of fan interest. So, yeah, I think it's a good move. The delay apparently is Letang wants an agreement that the no trade applies to the final year.
You made me laugh when you said Ray should just lie.
Well, no, actually, but I've since been corrected. That was on Twitter. I said Ray should just give him a verbal no trade, and then, if you're going to trade him anyway, what's he going to do? Not play for you?
Here's what Letang's got to understand: the quid pro quo for the movement is more money. He gets more. They offered him more money so that he couldn't have. You can't have both.
And he does have the no movement in the New Deal.
In the New Deal,
right.
But according to CBA, it doesn't have to be verbal. You can apply the movement clause of the new deal to the last year of the old deal. That is permissible by the CBA if the club agrees, so it can be more than verbal.
I don't think he's going to agree to that. I don't think he should. And look, I recognize what a brilliant talent the guy is. However, I think the deal would be much more palatable if they charge him $2,000 for every turnover that they get back, and then he'd be down to $3 million a year
Then
again.
he'd just dump it in, Stan.
Right.
Stan,
but here's I honestly, I mean, if they sign him, fine. If he goes, I'm not that disappointed for this reason. I think Letang's greatest value might be what they could get in a return.
I agree.
Right out of my mouth.
If he does with the stall type deal, 80 cents, 90 cents on the dollar.
Answer me this question. Who's going to play forward for them next year? If they're not able to retain, let's say they sign.
If they're not going to make a trade.
Okay, well, assuming that he's on the team, and that means they don't get Dupuis back, they don't get Cook back, Kennedy's gone, not that it's any kind of a loss. Tell me who the top 9 forwards on this team are going to be. And I'm suggesting...
I can give you 7.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
No, it's not. Because I want to know how they're going to fill in the top 2 lines and the top 3 lines.
We know the top 2.
There's
we know the top
there's
2.
no
Well, not if
forward.
Dupuis leaves.
Well, you got Bo Bennett's going to be one of the guys.
Okay, keep going. Bennett, Neal, Malkin, Crosby, Kunitz.
And
Who's
then
the 6th?
we got to. You need a 6th.
And who's the 3rd line?
Jokin and Sutter and somebody.
I think Cook or Dupuis, one of the two will be back. I would assume.
Oh, I don't know why they would bring Matt Cook back. I mean, I think they might,
I
but I don't know
either.
why they would either.
Well, I think if Dupuis...
Isn't there a number that's right?
No, I mean, I just want to bring him back. Just because somebody cleans their carpet doesn't mean they get out all the stains.
If Dupuis goes, Cook's back.
You don't
But
think
if
he's a good
Dupuis
hockey
stays-
player?
I think he's a good hockey player.
So
but
there is a price.
Well, there's too much drama.
Fair enough.
A lot of
You know
guys in
what?
that locker room are tired of cleaning up his messes.
And you know what? It's time to get some fresher legs.
Some
I love
younger
the legs.
legs, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw, look, here's the big problem with them. They have a lot of people who can score goals. Well, you watch what the Blackhawks did. They only have one guy who can score the kind of goals the Blackhawks do on a regular. I mean, Sid goes to the net. I should make an amendment there.
Sure.
Gino doesn't go there, and Neal's a great goal scorer, but that's not his game. You saw what guys like Bickle and those guys did.
Boland.
That's the way they just traded
Big
Boland.
power forwards, yeah.
But I mean, they don't have that, and they don't have it in the system, and that's why I'm saying Letang's greatest value might, underline
Which
might,
is why Ray
what
wants
they
to
can
hedge
get in
his
return.
bet.
Absolutely,
And
of
I don't
course
blame
you
him.
do.
So
I
the
don't blame
Penguins
him.
they've signed 2 goalies in the last 2 months. The kid from Quinnipiac, who's in the system now, they drafted a goalie with the first-round pick. They're protecting themselves, right? We know that we can make the
I don't know
assumption.
about that because by the time those guys are ready, Fleury will be gone.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
They're
why they
protecting
drafted
themselves.
him.
Well, yeah.
Vokoun will be gone.
Vokoun's gone probably after next year.
I don't think
And
either of
Fleury's
these guys
contract's
are
up.
great shakes either. I mean, to be
Well,
honest.
what do we know?
I don't
You never know. You never know. But like with goalies, the kid they drafted yesterday is
18 years
18.
old, yeah.
You won't find out about him for like 5-6 years.
Fair enough.
No, with most goalies, that's true.
The
Not
other
with
kid-
Mark,
the
but with
other
most
kid-
goalies.
the other
Luz
kid's-
Hedberg's available now.
Hey, the other kid's 24. I mean, Herzl's 24, the kid from Quinnipiac, so it's it is that time.
He ain't never going to be the number 1.
Fair enough.
And by the way, one thing about Dupuis I want to throw out there because Bryce wants us to wrap up, but I don't care if we delay his day. I don't really care what he has
What
to
else
do
have you got
after
to
this.
do?
He's on vacation
That's
today.
right. I don't want to disappoint the dozens and dozens of people that are watching this. But if Dupuis stays, there is one problem with that. And he won't stay. Once you get to free agency, you're gone, and he's going to get there. But Sid will want to play with Duper and Cooney, which means Bennett or Neal has to play the wrong wing. And I got to be honest, if Duper leaving means Bennett plays with Sid and Kunitz, I can live with that.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, guys, last question. We're at the halfway point. Nobody was picking probably 41 wins, let alone 51 wins. What's the Pirates' final record, Stan?
Oh, I haven't thought about it.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
80 and 82. No, I think they're going to win 96 games.
96.
96.
I'll go with what Hurdle said, 95.
All right, I'll go 91 and 61.
That's
That's
he
going
was
to
like whacked out of his mind on ecstasy
Oh,
when he said
absolutely.
that. And here we are.
That's
Like
going
when
to wrap
Kevin
up this
McClatchy
week's
predicted
edition
90, they
of the
wanted to
Pittsburgh
shoot him.
Sports Reporters. Stan Savran, Mark Madden. I'm David Todd. Thanks for watching.
Krauser.